Hey, people and inhabitants of planet Earth, both foreign and domestic, welcome to the Durahuman Paradox. I'm your host, Darius, Riddick, and I would like to thank you for joining me in what is nominally the next stage of evolution for humankind. To all of you, thank you for your investment of time, because without you and, the investment of that finite resource, then none of this would be possible. And what we're doing directly contributes and enables this mission of creating a better quality of life, not just for ourselves, but for those that succeed us, right? Our predecessors did it for us, and that's the reason why we are here today. So it is our duty to continue that. And how we do that? How do we do that exactly? By taking some of the most complex and most just obscure, enigmatic human performance principles, sports research principles, just health theories, narrowing them down, simplifying them, and presenting them in a way that is more digestible. And we do that because it's important for anyone, whether you sit right now, to be able to extract that and take that and use that in your life, because that's the only way possible, because we're all on different levels, right? We all understand things differently. Everyone has a different way of interpretation, a different way of learning. But if there's some way we can put that on common ground, then that's how we learn, evolve, grow, and get better together. So in this day in history, as we always do as we get started, 1988, September 20th, Greg Louganis wins Olympic gold the day after suffering a head injury, courtesy of history.com. Now, I don't know the story behind this athlete specifically, but if you're interested, I imagine that you can just type it in and look into it. But it's one of those interesting stories, as I looked through it a little bit, about overcoming adversity and obstacles in human performance. And those of you that have been with us for quite some time, you know that we frequently talk about logotherapy, the school of logotherapy, and adversity in its interpretation. And interpretation moving forward is going to be a huge key of what it is that we're trying to do here at the Durahuman Paradox. And whether you are an enthusiast, you are a sedentary individual, you're an athlete or an elite athlete, or if you don't quite understand it yet, it's important that we begin to help you along this journey. And I'm not going to say that I have all the answers. I'm not going to say that I understand everything about the complexity that is the human machine. But I know what it is like to start from a position of not knowing anything, to be so confused that you just want to have somewhere you can start in order to make some progress. And that is a difficult spot to be in. So the principle that I want to talk about today is just to assist anyone on their journey, whether you be trying to improve your quality of life, you want to help somebody else become a better version of themselves, or you want to just overall do things a little bit better, or if you're an athlete, you're trying to get better at a specific sport, just understand that, excuse them. Hey, just understand that, I lost my train of thought there because these silly dogs. But just understand that from wherever it is that you are starting from, this is going to be a crucial component to being able to overcome those obstacles, to move forward, and to ultimately get to where it is that you want to be. So it's not a solution for everything, but there's no one solution for everything. There is no one blueprint. Everyone is designed differently. Everyone has a different way of approaching things. So these are just tools. These are suggestions based on thousands and thousands and thousands of trials and errors and repetitions, and getting to a place where something small makes sense in the big picture. So whatever goal it is that you have, in order to even make it possible, not just for the short term, but for the long term, is the simple fact of identifying patterns. And if you are able to identify patterns, then you can begin to understand and interpret what not only is going to help you get closer to the goals, but what could happen to prevent you from achieving them. And boy, is that powerful. So I'll give an example. A lot of people talk about nutrition. They want to improve their quality of life. And a lot of that stems from exactly what you put into this human machine. So food, the human diet is pretty simple, but we as a big R race make it a little bit more complex than it needs to be. But obviously the human condition has a notorious tendency for complicating things. So when it comes to nutrition specifically, what you put into your body matters, right? That's going to be the foundation of it. And obviously we know that different foods and different things you put in your body have different effects, right? At multiple times we've talked about carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and your macronutrients and micronutrients, but this is not intended to be that. Today is recognizing the pattern of what you put into your body, what you eat. So a common example would be, okay, what do I eat for lunch? Every day I drive past the McDonald's and I stop and get 4 nuggets and a small fry and a lemonade, because that's $4.59, and it allows me to eat that really quickly so I can get back to scrolling on Instagram. Now that's not me personally. That's just an example. Like, no, but if you're able to recognize the things that you do consistently, the patterns that happen consecutively, then you can begin to understand how those patterns are preventing you from getting towards where you want to go. And this, I mean, like, wow, this is extremely watered down, okay? But it can be that simple. The same thing goes for thought processes when approaching training or when taking on a new goal. And the difficult part is just accepting what that pattern is, but then deciding to make changes towards it. And obviously that gets into another part of human performance and the cognition behind what we're trying to talk about. But for the sake of simplicity, whether it's nutrition, whether it is a physical goal, it's aesthetic or performance, recognizing those patterns is going to be the first step. Because if you can't understand the patterns, like that, what gets you to a goal, whether that be short-term or long-term, then you won't know what you need to do in order to keep working towards that goal. And that's speaking from experience, from someone who, I mean, a very short period of time from training consistently, we're talking about 2-3 times a day for the past almost 12 years. And what that looks like is at some point you will get tired. At some point you will get exhausted. At some point you're going to hit a plateau. You're going to hit an instance where, okay, no progress is being made. You're going to hit a point where it's like, okay, progress is being made, but it's not the progress that I want, or I can't go anymore, or this life event has happened, or this change has happened. So many things can occur during that time. So if we don't recognize as humans the patterns that lead toward those goals or that steer us away from them, then we're already at a disadvantage. We've already done ourselves a disservice. And I can't tell you exactly what you should do in order to begin to recognize those patterns, but I can tell you that from a sports performance and from a human performance aspect, or from a perspective, is that when you recognize those patterns, you now put yourself at an advantage, because recognize those patterns indicates that, a level of self-awareness, but a level of change that you can implement. And for those of you that have been around for quite some time, one of the first tools that we ever discussed, and the first tool that is put into the Durahuman paradox, is a yielding mentality. And what a yielding mentality states is your mindset and your ability to understand that, okay, in order to adopt changes, I have to first have the thought process, the thought patterns to be able to adopt those changes, to be able to say, okay, what can I do differently to get to where I want to be? And that's what recognizing patterns is all about. And once we can recognize some patterns, we can then begin to manipulate them, whether that be, what we eat throughout the day, or what we watch throughout the day, or activities like scrolling on social media, which is very common right now, which is why I keep bringing it up. Or, even the patterns before bedtime, like what is your caffeine schedule? There's a lot to look at, but I would say, one of my friends gave me a simple suggestion before I started this episode, and that's writing them down. When you start with drawing out and writing down your patterns, you start to identify things that you do that may not have even been, very clear to you. And again, this can be very simple. Consider Occam's razor. Consider taking the most simplest solution, the most simple route, the most simple explanation. Because that simplicity gives us one step. It prevents a lot of the things that won't allow us to keep moving forward. And that simplicity is it in a sense goes against human condition, but it enables us to begin to do things that real or perceived could be barriers. And man, I'm smiling because, you know, I want to keep going and really get into that. But that's all the time I have for today. Again, just to recap, recognize those patterns. If you don't know where to start at all, whatever it is that you want to do, if you're going from basketball to soccer, if you're just trying to get better at a vertical leap, you know, you want to become an Air Force pilot or a Marine Corps pilot, or you just want to look better naked, whatever it is your goal is, that's your goal. But understanding starts, develops, and ends with recognizing the patterns. And if you don't know where to start by writing it down and go from there. But until next time, stay durable, my friends.